I'd actually been a millionaire before and owned a number of businesses, and it was one of the most miserable times of my entire life. I owned a large restaurant and bar, and with all that money, so what? During the 12 minutes every other week that I had free time, that just meant that you just spent that just like mad trying to fill the gap of that you just lost 2 weeks of your life trying to earn this crap. That it was absolutely miserable. I slept in the bar most of the times, because by the time the bar closes and you clean up, it's 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I've lived half an hour away. Well, then turn around, and at 7 o'clock in the morning, I've got to be in there getting the grills on, so that way when the cooks show up, everything's ready for the cooks, and then they can actually make breakfast for the consumers. And it was just horrifying. And you try and hire people to do that, but it's not their business. They're not getting rich. And even if you give them good money, they don't care. It's not their business. They're there for a paycheck. And if they've got enough money in their pocket, half of them don't show up anyways. So again, that whole society, that hamster wheel, was just miserable. And at the end of the day, you're still subject to everybody else and all these other things. And I stepped back, and another key feature to the way I changed my life is cutting down expense. And that's one of the things that people have a really hard time with, is really just living as simply as possible. So when you look at life and say, in 6 months, if I'm not able to work for 6 months, how am I able to still be living? Then you've got to look at what you've got coming in and what it takes to keep you alive and keep you going. And at the end of the day, you need heat, something to protect you from the weather, some shelter, some heat, food, and water. So I very deliberately started plotting a life where no matter what, that was mine. I didn't have to rely on anybody else in order to provide those things. And right now, you can probably just lightly hear it. There's 2 streams that run, each of them about 30 feet on the side of my house, and my house is right in between 2 fresh mountain streams. One of them is the head of the spring is right here on my property. And so I pick up my drinking water, my house water, right out of this stream that's springing up out of the side of this mountain. Also, I'm surrounded by trees. I went and invested in a fantastic wood stove that also has a cook oven on the side of it. So the wood box is attached to an oven, and then the top has stovetop burners and everything. And it has a little flue in there that'll make the fire dance around that. So it can either just be your wood burner where you're just heating your house, or it'll push it all over into this cook area. And you can adjust that to adjust the heat of the cook area and things like that. So we always have fire to cook with, heat that provides light. Our house is always good to go. We get warm water from it. Now I do have a water heater, but if that becomes a problem, or propane becomes a problem, and that has been recently, like right now in the United States, not on big propane, but the smaller propane cans that people use for like the buddy heaters and things, you can't hardly find those. Nationwide shortage. There's signs in the windows, little signs in the aisles. Don't even ask. They aren't here. So with all these shortages, you're seeing these kind of things. Well, if propane becomes a bigger problem, I'm never going to actually have a problem. No, I won't be able to just turn on my shower, and my wife won't be able to just turn on the faucet and get hot water. We'll have to get it out of the kettle in the kitchen and take bird baths or whatever, and she'll have to do that, but we'll be just fine. Just a little less convenient, that's all, and that's okay. And then I got solar power with a couple generators for backup, and I'm getting ready to put in a small water turbine also for the backup. So that way, what little bit of power that we do use, we're always set to have that. Now, the final component that I have not put into place that I'm getting ready to, because I've already got all the equipment to extract plant oils, because I do that as an alchemist. Well, one of the things that you can do with these plant oils is turn them into biodiesel. So if my generators need diesel, and this is again a problem in the city, Now I just need I'm getting the biodiesel plant. So now the oils out of any of the plants that I can run around in the forest and harvest, extract their oil, turn that oil into biodiesel. And now I can run my generators, drive to town if necessary. And all these things are provided on my property. I promise that my farm was not given to me. My last farm, this one I just bought, this one had a small house on it, but we built all the outbuildings. On my last piece of land, there wasn't a stick of wood, trees, but there wasn't a stick of lumber and a piece of fence on that land. I did all of it with my own two hands. You want it, go earn it. That's a fact. That's part of that free will. That's part of earning that, being worthy of having that decision to stand up and say, I am a man. I can do what I want and say what I want. I'm responsible for it. I'm responsible for everything on this farm. As I said, with that free will and with that, I'm also taking responsibility for all the problems that happen here every day. You know, anybody that watches my show, you see technical difficulties pop up usually once a show. That was me running to deal with the internet or the power or an animal or whatever was going on. Because that's my all day, every day. I don't get to call somebody and say, oh, my power went out. What the hell? You need to fix it. This is so inconvenient for me. I don't get to do that. I have to deal with it all myself. But because of that, I don't feel that anybody gets to tell me how I get to live because I take responsibility.